All right, 101 for our pastels. When it comes to pastels, you'll have an oil pastel, which is basically pigment mixed in with a little bit of oil. So it'll be almost like a smudgier crayon. And then our chalk pastels are very powdery and kind of like a fancier version of your sidewalk chalk. So this will be very dry and this will be oily. Um, okay, in general, I would only use pastels if you are looking for bigger open areas to blend colors or to spread a color easily. If you have lots of small details, I would not use a pastel. Or if you do have small details, use something different. Like come in maybe and pin your details and then use your pastels to fill in the color around, or something to that effect. Make sure you're using them for what they're best for, which is blending and using bigger spaces. So first I'll start with oil. For each one, I'm going to show you how to blend and I'm going to show you how to layer. Um, I rarely come in and color in all the way. So if I'm planning to blend this, I'm okay if you leave it speckly like this, because when you come in, you can use a tissue, you can use a Q-tip, you can use your finger. But when I start to smudge these out, you can see just by rubbing it, it fills in all those little gaps. So I really don't cake it on too thick. I just lay in my color, and say I wanted to blend it out. I'll fade it maybe to a green. So when I'm blending two colors, I will normally have a little section of that color, a little section of another color, and then overlap. So notice just by coloring over this green, it's already made a new color and started to blend a little bit there. You can blend with your pastels, but they might get a little dirty, but in that case you can just come back and wipe it with a tissue or a paper towel. Same thing here. If I've got a yellow, if I wanted to blend that in to this, then I would just come over and draw over that green a little bit. And then you can actually work it back the other way and bring some green over your yellow. These still are pretty divided. That's where I would lay in my colors and then pick. I use my fingers, but use different fingers. So I'll use this one for my blue to green edge, and I'm going to blend in that zone pretty good. I'm going to go to a different finger because this is going to be a lighter color, and blend that in. Not really aggressive on the blending, just kind of dabbing and rubbing it. And then I'll swap to another finger for even lighter. Basically, I'm getting rid of that line and kind of helping those colors combine a little more naturally. If I feel like I need more blending, I can come back in with some more color and kind of help rework those zones. But I think that's kind of the blending I was looking for. If you're looking to fully blend and not, like say I wanted my blue to blend with my green and my yellow, then I could work it all together back and forth. But I use separate fingers here to make sure that this dark blue didn't contaminate the yellow at the other end. Layering. Say I have a flat color that I want to work back in over top. So if I had, I'll do like a quick blend of yellow and green. If I had this and I was blending it together, say I wanted to blend it all together, not kind of like I did in the previous one. So I have this like base background color. Say you had, I don't know, a frog and you wanted to do spots on it, or you had a grass and you wanted to lay green as the background and then come in and texture it with something else. You can put a base color down and then come over top and still come in with a hard line or a detail over top of it. And my recommendation is if you are layering, say I was doing some layers in here, and if you want to smear these, I would not smudge fine lines. I'm using this corner, the point, kind of like the corner edge of this flat spot to give me a very fine and detailed line. If I wanted to smudge these, I wouldn't want to go side to side or I lose my line. So I recommend just smudging in the direction that the line is going, and that will at least keep the shape of my line there. It is okay too with certain lines or dots, depending on what you're trying to do, to leave them as they are and don't mess with them. So not everything needs to be smudged or smeared. Some things are great the way they are. I know a lot of people, if they're looking to blend things out or kind of remove a texture, they'll come in with white. This is white right now. You can kind of see how it just blends in what I've got there, and that can be smudged in for a restart if you need. But that's how I blend those two colors. Moving on to chalk. If I have two chalk pastels here and I want to blend them, same thing that I talked about with oil. I will lay a light color to one end. I don't have to fill it in solid, especially because I don't want a lot of loose chalk on my paper. So that little bit of pink will go a long way in spreading around. But it is kind of hard to control and keep it in those edges. That's why some people might use painter's tape to kind of give it a clean line. If you have used all of your fingers, don't be afraid to go and wash them, or you can just bump to a fresh hand for blending. All right, so I'll come in with my yellow. I do like to kind of overlap a little bit if I know I'm going to be blending these two and bringing that in, and I can do the same going this way. Just like before, softly work that in. The chalk pastel is going to be a lot easier to move, so it'll move a little bit more. Just be wary of where it starts to pile up a little bit. I will take that and kind of dump it into a nearby trash can to make sure that it doesn't get everywhere and get in an area, especially that I don't want it. Okay, so there's a nice blend. You could bring more yellow into that. You could bring more of the pink into that. So it's just whatever how much of a blend you're looking to have. Layering. If I do have that consistently smooth layer, and if you do need a big area, I'm fine with laying those chalks down and scrubbing them from the side. You don't always have to use the skinny point. But say I have a good base color down, you can always layer and come back in and do textures over top, just like I did before. I would just use this fine corner edge, just like drawing with a pencil. And you don't have to smear these if you don't want to. It is all a matter of preference. So there'll be many different times where it could be beneficial to layer in colors, put some on top of one another, and maybe smudge certain things and not smudge others. If you need Q-tips, if you need Kleenexes, just come ask. But know that if you try to come in and smudge, you're going to lose those clean edges, and it's going to blend in with the background when you're layering. These are the benefits of our oil and chalk pastels. Remember, try to avoid small details, but they're great for giving beautiful, vibrant blends of color.